I'm very excited today, even though you're not supposed to be too happy, but I got this book on Rosh Chodesh Adar. I got this book on Purim, on the Megillat Esther. It's written by the Rabbi Shimon Peretz, who's the Rosh Yeshiva of the Hesder Yeshiva in Kiryat Gat. They gave it out at a convention I was at in Eilat. So I started learning it a month and a half ago, and today we're going to do the Siyum together. So it's a chance to go over the Megillah briefly, and then we'll make the siyum together for me it's the siyum of this on the book. So hopefully, I understand you've done many classes on the Megillah and you know it inside out, and the idea of what's beautiful about this perush is it's nothing, it's based on Rashi. It's nothing that is you haven't heard before, but it's the basics, and it's very, very clear, and it gives the story that it's all about. And the idea that I wanted to focus on was the Torah being given again, the receiving of the Torah, kimu v'kiblu. That was the idea of the Megillah. So we have a lot to do today. Let's see if we can make it through. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing is, now I just want to mention, it's very important one of the problems today when we have internet. A lot of people go on the internet and they learn from someone rabbi, and you could be very inspired, but it's very important for us to always know who is the rabbi, who gives him approval. It's called Torah sheyesh lach beit av. The Torah has to have a father. Who is that person's rav? Where does he? That's why you have to look and make sure the book has haskamas. And if you want to look online, it has all the haskamas here in the beginning. And obviously, he's a well-known rabbi, and you can also listen to these classes are online on YouTube. You can actually see the classes and listen to them, I was listening to it on the way here of the classes. So let's start. The first thing that the Megillah tells us is that the Vayibi me'Achashverosh hu Achashverosh hamolech meod. So it doesn't say in the days of the king Achashverosh. It says in the days of Achashverosh, who was ruling over all these countries. So we see that the issue was that Achashverosh did not come from royalty. He was a simple, he was actually the horse man in charge of the horse stables. He was a horse stable boy. Mm-hmm. And the real, royalty was Vashti. Vashti was the daughter or granddaughter of, it's a machloket, of Nebuchadnezzar. So he married into and Achashverosh was known to be, and this is a very important key, that he was the most stingy person. He loved money like nobody else. And therefore the big question is, why is he doing this big party for 180 days, 6 months of partying? And the answer is because 6 months of parties and then 1 week of a party in Shushan, which was the capital. Shushan Abira was the capital of his kingdom. Now, Achashverosh was the king of the world, 127 states, king of the world. So why is he doing this party? Because he knows that nobody accepts him as the king, because he's just a simple person, and therefore he wants to solidify his kingdom as he is the king, and that everyone should accept it. And therefore he does 180 days of parties where he wines and dines. Each month or each other day is a different king and ruler from another country, and that way by the end of the 6 months everyone accepts him as king, and he now has strengthened his kingdom, and he is feeling great, right? Now I'm king because everyone knows who I am. Everyone respects me. They see my power. They see my abilities. I no longer need my wife. Mm-hmm. Now these people, you're talking about very low life type of people. What do they talk about? What do they talk about at a party? They're not talking divrei Torah. They're talking about women, right? Which woman's the most beautiful? He decides to call his wife Vashti to come dance without any clothes on, only with her crown. Keter Malchut Berosha. He tells her to come out. Now, of course, why didn't she come? The Midrash says she might have had some major skin problem or whatever. She was, not in top form. She would have loved in general to come, or she felt like pride. Like, who do you think you are to tell me to come? She made her own party because she was saying, I have my, not because of modesty, but because of, you're only who you are because of me. And it says that when he sent this messenger to go call her to come dance with no clothing on, she sent a message back. It's because you're a horse stabler. It comes because you grew up with horse stables. You don't know how to hold your drink down. My father could drink, a couple barrels and still not. And look at you. You drink. You had a cup to drink, and you're saying nonsense. You want me to come and dance with no clothing on? Now she really hurt him. The most painful place for him was the most painful place was his pride and his feeling that he's inadequate and he's not worthy of being a king, and she hit that point. Now Achashverosh has 7 Shivat Ro'ei Pnei HaMelech, the 7 top consultants. Now, in Persia, everything was about the law. The law was above everything. The laws are unchangeable, and they're people of law. Now, Achashverosh is a man that he's a commoner. He doesn't like the laws. He's not used to going by the law. He's a simple guy. And he has 7 of his top advisors. 7 of his top advisors. The smallest of all, right? And it says Meres, the 7 advisors. The last advisor was Memuchan, which is Haman. Haman, and again, Haman was Amalek. Haman was the capital of Amalek was in Shushan Habira. That's where the capital was. You had there, we killed 75,000 Amalekites in the end. So that was the capital of the Amalekites. And Haman, which is the lowest of the lows, the king says, okay, you guys, now in Israel, I hate to say it, but it works this way in Israel as well. The very wealthy people don't pay a lot of tax. Why? Because they go to the people who write the laws of the tax and they say, how much are you making? I'll pay you $1 million more, and you tell me how not to pay tax. Right? So there's ways that they know how to find all the loopholes in the law. Achashverosh says, now I solidified my kingship. I don't need Vashti anymore. How do I get rid of her? Find me the loophole. How can you make it according to the law that I can get rid of her? Because I can't, I told her to come, she didn't come, I can't kill her for that. Haman says, I can work it out for you. It's not that she's, coming against you personally and won't come. It's that she's starting a rebellion of all women and all of the kingdom, and this is going to destroy the kingdom, right? Which is, by a side note, as someone who's been in marriage counseling for many years, we have a tendency of turning something that bothers me into a national, crisis. It's not, I asked you to come and you didn't come. It's that now the whole world is not going to come and not going to do this. And keep it personal, right? Talk about yourself, right? It was hard for me when you didn't come. Don't make it into a national, problem. You're representing the whole world, right? Anyway, now Haman gives this advice. The king says, you're a man that I like. You know how to bend the laws in the right way. They kill Vashti. Now he makes Haman the prime minister of the 127 states. Now, Achashverosh is depressed, and his young, he got rid of all of his Vayimru Narei HaMelech. Okay, so now we're already at the 2nd chapter, and now Achashverosh is depressed, and they don't want to have a depressed king, but he got rid of all of his good advisors that, they go work by the law, and I found Haman, who knows how to bend the law. Now he only surrounds himself with Na'arei HaMelech. These young kids, what are they interested in? Women. So they see he's depressed. We need to find you a good woman. That's going to solve the problem of your depression. And we're going to think about this machine that they made, this corruption of a machine. that they're gathering women from all over the world, the 120, right? Any beautiful woman, makes no difference her personality, makes no difference her, if she comes from royalty, nothing.
She needs to be beautiful.
Just beautiful. No, that's the only thing. And a year she has to prepare her hair and her skin and her nails, right, for a whole entire year. And it says at the beginning they only took beautiful women that were single, and then they started taking women that were married, because they needed to put up the level. Now, in all this, Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan u'shmo Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimi ben Kish. Asher hogla b'Yerushalayim. Now what's Mordechai doing there? The head of the Sanhedrin. What's he doing there? The answer is Achashverosh stopped the building of the Beit HaMikdash. 3 years before, he stopped the Beit HaMikdash with Koresh, and they lobbied. According to who were the people that did this, the sons of Haman, they got the Beit HaMikdash to be stopped. Mordechai goes to Washington or wherever it is, and he's going to go and try and to lobby what? To lobby to get the Beit HaMikdash.
It would have been Tehran still back then, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah, but I'm saying we're talking about the world. Who's the superpower today in the world?
Okay.
So he is there. Mordechai is there, and Mordechai is a very wise person, and he got into a very high level very high level up in the ranks of being close to the government officials and giving advice, and he was very high up in the in the political scene. Okay, Mordechai is doing his job, wanting to get permission to build the Beit HaMikdash. And they grab Esther. She was able to hide for 4 years. For 4 years, and they take her. She was married to Mordechai, and they take her against her will. And Mordechai wants to know. And then, right, of course, when she comes, we know what happens. And Achashverosh that's it. Everyone's blown away. And he makes a big party. And he wants to find out what nation are you from? And Mordechai told her, you can't talk about it. You don't know. You were adopted by me. I don't know who your parents were. So I have no idea what nation you're from. And Achashverosh wanted to know this. And he comes to Mordechai and he says, how do I find out what nation she's from? I'm sure she's hiding it from me. You know what? Let her think that she's going to lose her being queen. And then it says, Veikabetz Nerot Shenit. After he already chose her, they go and they gather more women to go check and see, for her to get jealous. Mordechai was hoping that Achashverosh will maybe find another girl and let her go. Right? That's why he gave him this advice. It doesn't work. And the king was very happy with Mordechai's advice, and he puts him to the Sha'ar HaMelech. There was always someone that sat at the Sha'ar HaMelech instead of these two people, Bigtan V'Teresh, and they wanted to kill the king. And he knew their language because they didn't know he knew. The Sanhedrin has to know 70 languages. He knew their language, tells the king, and that's a little side story that we'll see after. It's very important, of course. Right? So that was why they got jealous, and he tells the Achashverosh. Now the king is putting Haman up. Right? What does that mean? After these things. What things? What are you talking about? The answer is after God put the solution in place. Right? It always says God is makdim trufa lamaka. God always puts the solution in place before he brings the challenge. We had all of the technologies and the medical abilities to create the vaccine for the corona before it came. It's always there. God always lines everything up. I hope there's no anti-vaxxers here. Shalom. Okay. So now, after the solution's in place, now Haman is brought up and made the prime minister of the whole world, 7 countries. And everybody's bowing down to him. And again, to mention, the Jews especially the wealthy Jews that were living in Shushan, which is the modern city, could you imagine, after he did the 6 months of the parties, he did 1 week of parties for the Shushan, for them to accept him. And the Jews are there, and Achashverosh is taking he's wearing the clothes of the Kohen Gadol, and he's drinking with the vessels of the Beit HaMikdash. And the Jews are there, like, how could you not cry? And you're sitting there seeing the vessels of the Beit HaMikdash, the destruction, and you're there at the party. So the Jews were very, very much detached from, and there's a story in the Gemara. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says to his students, why did this Haman happen? And they said, because the Jews were at the party. Yeah, but it was only the Jews of Shushan. So all the Jews in the world should be killed because the Jews of Shushan were at the party? No. All the Jews in the world were bowing down to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. So it was like just a symptom, it was an issue. We were so detached and distanced from who we are and what our mission is and what our connection is to the Beit HaMikdash, to God. We were in a very, very low place. So here's very interesting, right? Now, everyone's bowing down to Haman. So in the story we always think that Mordechai wouldn't bow down. Haman was furious. How are you not bowing down to me? But if you read the pshat of the psukim, Mordechai wouldn't bow down. It was other people. Other people came to Mordechai and said, why aren't you bowing down? They went to Haman. What does it mean? They couldn't believe, Haman didn't even know that Mordechai wasn't bowing down. He's in his chariots. He doesn't see everybody like who's not bowing down. He's looking who's bowing down. The servants came to Mordechai and they're shocked. You're not bowing down? Is it really possible that you believe so strongly in what you believe that you're willing to give your life for it? Like, come on. We don't believe that someone really has values that they're willing to like go all the way. They went to Haman and said, he won't bow down to you, because they wanted to see, is Mordechai really for real? Is he really going to take it all the way? And then Haman sees it, right? He became angry, and he decided to not only kill Mordechai, but to kill all the Jewish people. So according to the way it looks externally, people that are very shallow people, there's a Jew wouldn't bow down to Haman, and because of you, Haman wants to kill all the Jewish people. Those religious people are responsible for all of the terrible things in the world. All the reason why everything bad happens is because of the religious Jews, and here, it's terrible. Now, it's very interesting what the rabbi says here. Haman was a secular Amalekite. He wasn't even aware that what ignited in him, seeing Mordechai not bowing down to him, ignited him this desire to kill not only Mordechai, but also all the Jewish people. He thought it's something that because he upset me, I want to get it get back not only at him, at his whole nation. He wasn't even aware of where it's coming from. And the same way Haman was ignited, it was like the starter that got everything going. Suddenly he's tapping into his Amalekite, the hate for the Jewish people, which is, again, it's an inherent hate. It's not because what you do, it's not because it's something that is, it's this, how do you say, zelumadze, it's the contrary, or the contradiction, or the opposition to the Jewish people. Like, again, we said the world is split to 3. Good, Kedusha, Tuma, and Chol. Kodesh, Chol, and Tumah. In other words, the majority of the world are not, they're neutral. They're not going for Mordechai. If Mordechai's up, they'll go with Mordechai. They're what's called the silent masses, right? And then if Haman's up, they'll go with Haman. So does the whole world hate the Jewish people? No, they don't care about you. They'll go with you if you're up. These are the leaders. Who's going to lead the world? The Tuma or the Kedusha? That's the only option. Who's going to lead the world? So what happens? Now Haman decides he goes to his Amalekite ancestors. they were masters at knowing the stars, and they believe in the natural world and astrology, and everything is under the stars. The Jewish people what rules us is the natural world. When is the Jewish nation, when are they down? They roll the dice or whatever they do. It comes out Adar. He was so happy. Wow, it's the day that it's the day that Moshe Rabbeinu died. Is in that month. That's when they're down. He didn't know it's also the day Moshe Rabbeinu was born. So it's the day where the greatest things begin. Anyway, and he chooses that day, even though it's 12 months away from the date that he chose. And look how the anti-Semites work with a lot of wisdom. So he knows what gets Achashverosh going is money. Vayomer Aman, there's this nation, and they don't keep your laws. They have their own laws. They don't let you marry. They don't marry our daughters. They don't let us marry their daughters. They don't eat our food. You should not keep them around. And he gives them 3 different reasons: financial, security, and we'll see the other ones. So he says, right, you should get, they're different, and therefore, Imal Melech Tov Yichatev le'ovdam. He didn't say to kill them. All I want to do is get rid of them. Like Hitler, before the Holocaust, he did a convention, and he asked all the nations of the world, who wants to take them? I want to get rid of them. Nobody was willing to take them. He said, okay, I understand. You don't want to take them, so obviously if I kill them, nobody will care. So he tested the waters. So what Haman says here, le'obdam, I just want to, right, le'abed is to get rid of. Lech le'ibud, go get lost. I just want to get them lost. So, right, I'll get them out. He didn't say he's going to kill them. Now, and I'll give you 10,000 kikar kesef. That's the same amount of a machatzita shekel for 600,000 Jews. So you're talking hundreds of millions. So Achashverosh says, no, I don't want the money. Take the ring, do what you want. Right? By the way, the ring was always with Achashverosh, but he would take it off and give it to you for, like, in other words, here's my email pass with the code. You have it for today. Like, you don't have it to make a law, and then you got to give it back. So he always held on to the ring, but he gave it to Haman to write this law, this new law. And he says, I'm not taking the money. Why? He loves money. First of all, he hates the Jews as well. Secondly, he doesn't want there to be any, evidence that he was part of it. I could say, I just gave you my ring and you made a law. I wasn't aware that you were going to kill him, and you only told me you were going to get rid of them, so I didn't know, like he says at the end. What? Who did this? He pretends like he has no clue what's going on, right? So they call out the letters and they sign the letters, and there's 2 letters that go out. One letter goes out that says, it's letters that are posted in all of the nations. In 12 months from now, there's going to be 1 nation that's going to be killed. Whoever kills them gets their properties. That was the one letter. The other letter went out to all of the prime ministers of each country. You have an obligation to deploy your army to destroy the Jewish people, lashmid, larog, velabed, and to the heads of the countries. It was very clear. You have to destroy, kill, labed. There's no converting. There's no briberies. It's the law. So you have between all the commoners that will get the spoils, and you get the houses. By the way, a friend of mine told me he had these Arab workers. Well, I don't hate Arabs. And by the way, same thing in Israel. You have 10% of good Arabs, 10% of bad Arabs, and 80% that are happy that there's bad Arabs. That's the situation today. We need to do more work to get those 80% towards us, but that's another subject, and I'm not a politician, and I don't know how to do it. But I'll just tell you, it's a similar situation today in Israel. But anyway, so you have the armies, and you have my friend told me that the Arab guy was building his house, and he said to him, by the way, you should know, we have a written agreement that the people, because we're building your house, once we get rid of you, the house becomes ours. So they have it like in their village. We were part of building it, so we're investing in our future, because when you guys are all going to be kicked out of here, we will take your house because we invested in building it.
What's the response to that? How do you respond to that? Like, the only response I could think of would be "Oh, that's so sweet."
So, I'm just telling you, my friend, he's a very open guy, and he knew how to speak with these guys. Tell me the true goods. Anyway, so those are the two letters that went out, and Mordechai right away knows the inside story because he's in with the governments and he knows the real story. And here's where Mordechai, what does he do? Vayikra, Mordechai yada kol asher na'asa, vayikra Mordechai b'gadav, vayilbash sak v'yav, vayitze b'toch ha'ir, v'yizak zakad. He goes out and he cries and he screams and he puts on his sackcloth. Wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Go and work with the politicians, work with the king. Why are you just crying? So I'll tell you a great story. There was once a story of the Baal Tanya, was when he was taken to prison. Again, for many reasons, the Mitnagdim went and told him and things to get him picked. He was taken to prison. So right away he told two of his students, okay, you go to the city and lobby all of the wealthy people and all the people who have connections in government to help get that, to get me out. You, the second student, run to Reb Levi Yitzchak Rabbi and run immediately. Don't stop no matter what, and go and tell him to go and pray for me. So we see whenever there's a challenge, there's two tracks you have to work on: the practical track and the spiritual track. So he sends his student. He goes running to the Baal Tanya and to the Reb Levi Yitzchak Rabbi, and he gets there and Rabbi says, "What's the story?" He says, "They imprisoned the Baal Tanya." He starts to cry, screams like here. Vayizak zakak gdola mara. The Reb Levi Yitzchak gives a huge cry. After he's done crying, he turns to the student and he says, was the rabbi shooken up internally or only externally? And he says he was shooken up only externally. How do you know? Because he took his tefillin, but he didn't take his shoes. So the Rebbe Tzibidishev says, very nice, Misnagid. He says, the nice observation, Misnagid. Again, I don't know, everything has a meaning, but that's what he calls him, Misnagid. Anyway, and then he says, okay, tell me his name for tefillas. He says, I'll tell you what happened. I ran out, and as soon as I walked out the door, I realized I didn't ask him what's his mother's name. And I was going to run back, but I realized that if I go back, he told me, whatever you do, don't stop, don't turn around, don't stop. Keep going no matter what. So I knew I couldn't go back. So I don't know his mother's name. So Rav Levi Zibik says, no problem. We can ask Google. We'll ask, he has a Tanakh. He opens up the Tanakh, puts his finger down, and it says, Vayar Yaakov ki yeshever b'Mitzrayim. The word shever, Yaakov saw when there was the famine, he saw that there was wealth in Egypt to go and survive. Shever is the letters Shneor ben Rivka. And then he davened for him and the story. So why did I tell this story? Mordechai's most important thing was to know that the reason why all of this was happening was mainly because of the spiritual. When Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, it said that there was a voice from heaven that came and said, Kemach tachun tachanta. You ground flour. In other words, the Beit HaMikdash was already destroyed because of the issue. So the permission for Haman to do his decree was because it was already signed above. And therefore, it's not the physical actions that we need to do. It's the internal change that has to take place. And that's the tshuva and the tefillah and the tzedakah. And therefore, that's the message that Mordechai is first dealing with, is the issue of going to the root of the problem. And the Jews, they did it. Evel gadol hayudim v'tzov u'becher u'misped sak va'efer yutzal harabim. The Jewish people internalized the message. They cried, and like today, we're fasting to remember that fast, to remember that to make the internal fixing of this is the battle between good and evil, the battle between Amalek and the Jewish people, and here we are again. And God always gives us a second chance. Esther is the descendant from Shaul. Shaul was the most modest person. It says he would go and use the bathroom. He'd go into a tent in the room inside of a room, and he would cover himself. And he wore like always long clothes. And he was very, very modest. But he messed up with Amalek, and now God is giving a second chance. Here you are, Esther and Mordechai that come from Shaul, and they're confronting Amalek. Second time around, and now what will the outcome be? Yes.
It's funny, now I realize like Shaul he messed up, but now two people from the same tribe who corrected
Exactly. Okay, the children are now have a chance to fix what the parents messed up, and she comes and he says, "Okay, what are we gonna do?" And Mordechai tells Esther, "You have to go today to Achashverosh and tell him to." Now you're going to be shocked. The whole story of the Megillah, from now till the end of everything, is like maybe 4 days, 72 hours, 3 days. The whole story now, the story, it's 3 days. Esther comes, Mordechai says, he finds out, he cries, they do tshuva, and he tells Esther, you have to go into the king. She says, why should I go now? He didn't call me for 30 days. The law is if I go in without permission, I get killed. I won't be able to help you if I get killed. I'll wait till he calls me. Maybe he'll call me in a month, 2 months. We have till the end of the year. Why wait? Why run in, take a chance that I'll be killed and I definitely can't save anyone? Let me just wait till he calls me. We'll be at an event. I'll talk with him and we'll work it out. Why should I go and risk my life? And then we have no chance. Mordechai says to her, I have my reasons. What I'm telling you. Maybe now he's still excited about you and he might listen to you. Maybe you can't wait. Maybe people will know that it's Jews. They'll start killing Jews now. Why wait? Right? It's already, we have permission. The Jews might be starting to be killed now. I can take it now. Why should I wait till the end of the year? People will find out. They'll know it's the Jews and they'll start killing now. We can't afford it. You need to go today. Now. Today. Esther, now, Vatilbash Esther Malchut, she now understands why Hashem put her here. And he says to her, don't think, Al Tedami, don't think you can escape and hide away in this castle and all the Jews will be killed. Ki at uvech avich yovedu, you and your father, this is your chance to make the fixing for your parents. You may get killed, but you did it making the fixing. This is what you have to do. And you have to go this second. Just listen to me, trust me. I'm talking from a place that I know this is what has to be done. It may not succeed, but you have to do it. Esther says, okay, call the Jews to pray for me. I'm representing all the Jews. Do tshuva, right? And she goes in. We're at the 5th chapter. She goes in, and the king is sitting there, and he gives her, again, he hands her the staff, which means you have permission. And she says, and he says, what do you want? Ad chatzia malchut. I'll give you anything besides one thing I won't give you. To build the Beit HaMikdash, if you're coming in as a representative for Mordechai, who's been pushing me for Beit HaMikdash, that I won't do no matter what. Malchut, to build the temple, that I will not give permission to do. Anything else you want, go for it. Right? Ad chatzia malchut. And she says, so her plan was, I'm going to call Mordechai, I'm going to call Haman and Achashverosh. Everyone will get jealous of the royalty will become jealous of him. Maybe they'll kill him. And I want the king to think, this was her plan, that we're having an affair and he'll kill us both. That was her plan. Now, whether Haman gets killed, it won't stop the decree. But at least the general is gone. What will happen after that, we don't know, but that was her plan. I'm going to make Achashverosh think that we're having an affair. He'll kill us both, and then we'll take it from there. She makes the party. They call Haman. Haman is so excited, right? What do you want? She starts off, she says, now this was her plan, was to put the king into panic. And it worked. Either that we're having an affair, or that someone's trying to take over, or that I'm going to tell him that Haman is trying to take over his kingdom. Something where his biggest fears are he's going to lose his throne, right? People tried to kill him, and Mordechai saved him, but that's his fear. Either they're going to try to take his wife, try to take his throne. She starts off, Vata'an Esther Vatomar, She'elati ubakashati. She'elati means I'm asking for something for me. Bakashati is I'm asking for somebody else. So She'ela is I'm asking for myself. Bakashati is someone else. What I'm asking for me, what I'm asking for someone else is, and she stops. I can't talk. Imatzati chen, I'm not able to say it now. I need you to come tomorrow and I'll tell you what I'm asking for. The suspense. Right? It's straight up. Pasuk Zayin. Vatomar Esther. Vata'an Esther. Vatomar She'elati bakashati. Stop. Vatomaim amtzati chen. Please come tomorrow, and then I'll tell you what I want to say. So again, the whole thing. She comes into him. She called him that day to come to a party, and then the next night is when Haman will come.
So how did she end the dinner right there?
They just drank and they ate and they said, we'll see you tomorrow, I'll tell you. They ate and they drank. She started saying, what I'm asking for myself and for others is,
Just too much.
Please come tomorrow. I'm too overwhelmed. I can't speak about it. I need one more day to prepare myself to tell you.
I mean, it's brilliant teaser.
Exactly. That was the plan. Now, and it worked because now Haman walks out, and now look at the teamwork between Mordechai and Esther. Haman is rushed to come to the party first day. He goes back and he sees Mordechai pretending like he doesn't exist, right? But he walks out, somehow he walks out so happy. I came today to a party, I'm going tomorrow. He's flying. And when he sees Mordechai, lo kam velo zam mimeno, vayimale Haman Mordechai chema. Mordechai, you don't exist. You're like air. All this was to take, you'll see in a second, to make Haman go off balance. Because Haman is the master politician, the master liar, a manipulator. He's got an answer for everything. But they got him off balance. By the way, an amazing thing. How? Mike Tyson, they asked him, how did you win all of your battles? He says, I have one trick. I get my opponent angry. I have ways of saying things. I find out what their most sensitive spots. I tell them certain things. They get angry. A person who's angry, you think that he's now so strong. He's not thinking with his head. He's going to make major mistakes, and that's when I'm able to get him.
Whoa.
I get him off balance by getting him angry. A person thinks, I'm angry, now I could rip apart anybody. The opposite's right. The more you're thinking with your thinking, you're strategizing, you're planning, you're making the right moves. You're acting out of a rage and anger, you're not functioning in a clear way. So Haman walks out furious, and he goes back to his family, and he says, I have everything. I can't stand that Mordechai guy. Make a tree to hang him. 50. So this is all in the same day. He makes the tree that day 50 meters high, and he goes early in the morning to go that day. That night they're going to the party. That morning, early in the morning, he goes to tell Achashverosh to kill Mordechai. As he comes in, that night, Achashverosh is panicking and what's going on? Bring me the book of things that happened. What happened? They've opened the book. This is again a miracle. A huge book of things that have happened in the kingdom. Read me the things in the kingdom. They open it up and it says Mordechai did not get rewarded for saving your life because he's panicking. Who's trying to kill me? Mordechai did not get rewarded for saving your life. Why should anybody come and try to save your life if you don't reward them? Why didn't he reward him? Because Mordechai said he wanted the Beit HaMikdash built. He said no, so it just left. It was left. He said, that's all. I don't want anything. The only thing I want is the Beit HaMikdash built. I won't give that to you. So it just got left. Okay? So then at the party, the king's not sleeping. Now comes Haman. The 7th chapter. Haman comes to the party. Okay, tell me what you want. Again, anything but at chatzia malchut, anything but building the Beit HaMikdash. So she says, I'm asking you for myself. I'm asking you for my nation. What's the story? And look what she says. Now she knows who she's talking to. And she knows exactly how to give him what he wants. What is Achashverosh interested in? Money. So he says, I was sold as a slave. If I was sold as a slave, I wouldn't have said a word because I knew you got money and I care about you more than anything else, right? If we were sold, if we were sold as slaves and servants, and you would make the money, I wouldn't have said a word because at least I know you gained. Haman doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your money. He wants to kill me. He doesn't want to kill the Jewish people because he has anything against the Jewish people. He whole plan to kill all the Jewish people was just to kill me. The same way he killed Vashti. He doesn't want anybody close to you because he wants to be the one in control of you. He wants to make all the decisions. He doesn't want anybody to have access to you. And therefore he's trying to kill me. All Haman had to say was, I didn't know she was Jewish. But Haman didn't sleep for 2 nights. Mordechai got him furiously angry. He's not thinking. And here he jumps down and Achashverosh is shocked. Right? Ish tzavayev, this man wants to kill me. And by the way, according to the Midrash, it says that she actually was pointing to Achashverosh. She was going to say as if we're having an affair. And by the way, this is the most incredible. What saved us was Esther's tzniut. He couldn't even think that she would try to have an affair with someone. It wasn't even until it came to his mind because he knew she was such a modest person. So her plan wouldn't have worked anyway. And it says that when she came, she said, Ish tzavayev. When she was pointing, she was going to point at Achashverosh. This evil man, right? And we're together, right? And it says the angel moved her hand to Haman. And then what happened was, Ish tzavayev, Achashverosh is shocked, right? He didn't know his wife was part of this decree that he was part of. What do I do? What do I say? Right? He goes out to take a breather. And how can I get rid of Haman now? I can't get rid of Haman because he wanted to do this. I let him do it. He walks in, and here's the same situation. Esther is standing with the same challenge that Shaul was challenged with is Amalek begging for compassion. And Shaul gave compassion. Now he's begging. She could say, you know what? I'll have compassion for you. The Jewish people are very compassionate people. Are you going to make the same mistake your parents did? No. She does not take compassion. And then Charbona realizes Charbona was a bad guy. He wasn't like a good guy. He realizes Mordechai is that Haman's down. We better, politicians, like, okay, let's go with the next. Who's going up now? I'm with him. He made a tree. Not only did he, right? Not only does he not care about you or your money, but he also was trying to kill the person who saved your life. So you see, all these things had to add up. If it wasn't 1, 2, 3 things that lined up at the same time, it would not have worked. And then he's killed, and now the decree is still there. So great, you killed Haman. The decree is there. There's nothing that could change. Yes.
The question about
we have 3 minutes.
What was it about Esther that obviously that whole scenario worked because the king had such emotions and attachment to Esther. What did the sages say was so special and different about Esther?
Right, but that's the beauty. A person is attracted to what is the exact opposite of him. Like that's the reason why people fall in love to people that are completely the opposite of them, and then they can't stand the other person because you're the opposite of who I am. But you realize that Achashverosh was the symbol of the lack of modesty. Right? The symbol. And here he sees a person that is just pure, that is modest, that is holy. And there's something that like attracts, the opposites attract, because he completes him. Anyway, so now, the crazy thing is, Haman's gone, but nothing changed. Mm-hmm. The decree is there, all the Jewish people will be killed. Yes. Mordechai now has 12 months, has 11 months. Now this whole story happened in 72 hours. You can make a movie. The 72 hours of the Megillah the action is insane, right?
Right.
But now, what is Mordechai going to do? So Mordechai becomes the head of the king he becomes the prime minister. He has one strategy. I have to stop the armies from destroying the Jewish people. Because if the armies do it, they're finished. If the commoners, for that, I'll train the Jewish people, we'll give them weapons, they'll fight, they can kill the commoners. But if the army's involved, we're finished. And what does he do? He conquers new lands so that all of the heads of the army understand that he's a powerful ruler. He goes and conquers Iyei Hayam. It says he puts tax on the Iyei Hayam. He conquers new countries so that they understand that Mordechai is a fighter and he's got an army, and anyone who goes against the Jewish people is going to mess with Mordechai. And then, the Jewish people end up killing all the people that they want, all the people that are coming against them. And not only that, 3 years later, the Beit HaMikdash is rebuilt. And the Jewish people not only protected themselves, but the second day, which is the Purim that we celebrate in the walled cities, they went and fought the war from their will, from their choice, to go and stop the enemies. And therefore, kimu v'kib, and then the Torah says kimu v'kibel, because this was the receiving of the Torah. Every time there's an Amalek that fights us, and we have to uncover our Jewish soul and our mission in life and our leadership, like the story of the leadership that's in us. Kimu v'kibel, it's like kimu v'kiblu. We were one people. There's a receiving of the Torah from our own true will. When the Torah was given on Har Sinai, we accepted it. We accepted Torah Shebichtav. Now we accepted the Torah Shebal Peh. We understood the value of the listening to the rabbis, that they're there to reveal the word of God, and it was the full exception of the Torah. And I want to just read the last few words so I can make my siyum. And I appreciate you guys letting me take part in this great opportunity. Okay. So what's the final message of the Megillah? I didn't learn this yet. Is that we have a job to put effort. The Ishtadlut. Like we see, Mordechai and Esther had all kinds of plans. God had different ways of doing it, but they did their efforts. They weren't sure how it would come out of it. They didn't have plan B. They just thought of one idea that they thought could maybe work, but the success is in the hands of Hashem. And sometimes we put effort in this way and God brings it from there. So don't be locked in on things have to be, a certain way. By the way, which is the same reason why a lot of people won't accept the redemption of nowadays. Same thing in Egypt. When Moshe Rabbeinu came and said, I'm here to be, he looked like an Egyptian. He spoke Egyptian. He dressed like an Egyptian. He grew up with in the house of Paro. We don't want him as a king. And the same thing, this generation, people said, the Jews that are bringing, the Zionist Jews are secular. This is not what we imagine. Stop imagining. You do your effort and let God do things the way He wants to do it. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He wants our effort. We are not responsible. He's responsible for the outcome. So Mordechai did his shtadlut to build the Beit HaMikdash. He went to Shushan. He went to get permission to build the Beit HaMikdash. He didn't know why he was going there. He thought just for that. Turned out to save all the Jewish people. And God brought redemption in a completely different way than He planned. And Esther, right, his niece, who came with him to Shushan, was chosen by thousands of women. And this is it. It's an incredible story. So I appreciate you guys letting me make my siyum with you and have an overview and go.
Thank you so much.
Isn't there also
Bat Dodo.
some that say that they were married?
They were married. He